Hi guys, I'm going to try and do this really quickly. So I think this was on your last video, but just in case, we were talking about alternative energy sources and renewable energy specifically. So wind energy has relatively minimal impact on the environment. It has greater potential for increased use because only a small portion of the potential resource has been, only a small portion of the potential resource has been harnessed. There's the greatest challenge for expanding reliance is the opposition by environmentalists who voice their concerns about windmills being noisy, lethal for birds and bats who fly into them and things end badly for them. And they are a visual, sorry, they're not a virtual blight. They're a visual blight on the landscape. I think they look cool, but I guess if you live there, they don't look cool. Okay, so there are that's the map of classes of wind power density. So where things are the darkest blue are where the best wind power is, and where they are the lightest blue is where the worst wind power is. So you can see that Kentucky is completely unsuitable for wind energy production, whereas places out west are much better suited, and that's where you're going to find your large fields full of windmills or turbines. Okay, so this, I believe, is where where the left off portion is. Alternative energy sources, still. So we're at solar energy. This is the ultimate renewable resource, which is supplied by the sun. The U.S. receives 1% of its electricity from solar, but the potential growth is limitless. Solar energy is harnessed through one of two means. The first is passive solar energy. The first are passive solar energy systems, and these capture energy without using special devices. And the second are active solar energy systems, which collect solar energy and convert it either to heat energy or to electricity, either directly or indirectly. So these are some solar panels that are on the roof. Looks like somewhere in the Middle East. Sorry, you can hear my dog coughing. And then here's a guy who's got a solar panel, perhaps somewhere in Africa. Here's my dog. He's got a cough. Oh, there he is. Okay, sorry, don't mean to make you dizzy. Okay, so let's talk about why countries face obstacles to development. So there are two paths to development, and developing countries choose one of two models to promote development. The first is self-sufficiency. Countries encourage domestic production of goods. Discourage foreign ownership of businesses and resources, and protect their businesses from international competition. This was most popular for most of the 20th century. Then we have international trade. Countries opened themselves to foreign investment and international markets, and this became more popular beginning in the late 20th century. So, self-sufficiency path has the key elements are the barriers limit the import of goods from other places. So you generally want to be using your goods from within your own country, not importing goods from other places. Businesses are not forced to compete with international corporations. So you want your businesses, your domestic business, people to purchase things from your domestic businesses rather than having your domestic businesses competing with businesses in other countries. Investment is spread almost equally across all economic sectors and in all regions of the country. Minimalize discrepancies in wages among urban and rural dwellers with the intent to reduce poverty. Okay, so the international trade path. And we talked about Rostow before when you made your flip books. So the Rostow model, one is traditional society. This is marked by a very high percentage of people engaged in agriculture and a high percentage of national wealth allocated to non-productive activities, for example, the military. 2, this is preconditions. Oh, so traditional society, remember these are places where people are essentially doing not hunter-gatherers, no, it's not correct, but places where people are just doing farming. So they are not really engaged in any other production other than farming itself. 2, this is preconditions for takeoff. Elite group initiates innovative economic activities that ultimately stimulate an increase in productivity. So this is where you're not just doing farming, but you're doing something else, some other means of productivity. But it's still probably going to be like a cottage industry situation. Then 3 is takeoff. Rapid growth is generated in a limited number of economic activities. For example, textiles. So takeoff is going to happen for most places in the world during the Industrial Revolution. 4, drive to maturity. Modern technology pervades from the few takeoff industries to other economic sectors, thus sparking rapid growth. So we see after the Industrial Revolution that technology is really going to move into all parts of society, from railroads to the steel industry to the I'm trying to think what else, to steam, to blah 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 blah, to all different types of industry. And it's really going to spread throughout Europe and the Western world at that point. And then considering where Europe has its empires, it's going to continue to spread to other places in the world, to where their influence reaches. Okay, and then the age of mass consumption, this is marked by a shift from heavy industries such as steel to consumer goods. So now we have the focus not being so much on the things that were being produced in the Industrial Revolution to things that consumers are buying in that are being mass produced, like we see today, the things that are produced in factories like in China. Okay, so I believe your other video started here, but just in case, protection, so why do countries face obstacles to development? We have shortcomings of the two development paths. Self-sufficiency challenges are protection of inefficient businesses, guaranteed high prices made possible by isolation from international competition creates little incentive for businesses to improve quality of product or become more efficient. So when a country is isolated, those businesses don't have any reason to improve or have a higher quality. So, I mean, if you think about isolation in any realm, let's say, you know, when you are looking for a gas station and you're way out in the country and you find the only gas station around, they can offer gas at the highest price they want to, because if they're the only gas station out there, you have to pay it, right? There's nobody else for competition. Companies protected from international competition aren't compelled to keep up with rapid technological changes. So, so that gas station you find way out in the country, for example, there's one in Harrodsburg that I used to go to all the time. Well, yeah, it was in Harrodsburg. It was kind of between Harrodsburg and Boyle, and between Harrodsburg and Danville. And they did not have those card machines, so you had to go in all the time to pay. It was so frustrating. But it was like the only gas station between the two counties. And so if you like had already left Harrodsburg and you weren't going to make it to Boyle County and you'd run out of gas, you're like, dang it. So it was your only choice. Okay, a need for a large A need for a large bureaucracy. A complex administrative system is needed to administer the controls. This encourages inefficiency, abuse, and corruption. So a complex administrative system needed. So whenever you have a large bureaucratic system involved, whenever you have a lot of people at the top needed to administer something, there's always room for something to be inefficient because there are a lot of kind of hands stirring the pot. Abuse. because there are a lot of people involved who could take advantage of things. And of course, corruption, because there are people who are looking out for themselves. On that note, on that happy note, I believe this is where we left off, or we left off before this. You probably aren't even listening anymore. So I will see you guys tomorrow.